Games have always been a part of your life. They've always fascinated you, from spending your toddler days learning by playing Jumpstart to coming home from school to get on Club Penguin. So, what happens when you finally graduate high school? You decide to apply to several universities for a game dev degree, and guess what? You get a scholarship. Lucky you. The first year is nothing but the basics of programming, but what's worse is the mandatory courses like English and math. Sure, it's a bit frustrating since you came here to make games, but you assure yourself that it'll be worth it, and you'll be on your way in no time to your dreams. Fast forward to the end of the semester, when you're stressed because you have a variety of exams coming up. Forget making games, you don't even have time to play them because you're too busy studying and writing up an essay on the history of Pong. But you push forward, and it happens again and again and again. You learn Hello World and how to program tic-tac-toe in Visual Studio, and now it's year 2. Your final project is to make a simple game, not in Unity, Unreal, Godot, or some other engine. Nope, you're forced to use Visual Studio. So, you make your game. It's a restaurant simulator inspired by some of the games you played growing up, from the Papa's franchise to Flash games you'd play in computer class, and it's good. Really good. A little ambitious, sure, but pays off in the end when the professor gives you an A+. So, how do you feel? 2 years of university. What do you have to show for it? Aren't you just proud? Just think, 2 more years to go and you'll get your degree. Then you'll be in the real world where you can use it to apply to companies like Blizzard or Riot Games or... I dropped out. And if I'm honest, I'd say a lot of my time was wasted going to university. I've made more progress learning how to make games independently than attending. It's been a lot less stressful too. I'm not looking to make the next World of Warcraft or Sims or another large franchise. After all, I've always been horrible at deadlines. No, I'd rather be indie. And look at me now. I've made my first public game and am starting on a second endeavor, Necrotype Cafe. But before we get there, let's return to that final project I talked about earlier. You know, the cafe sim. Here it is in all its glory. It's not much, but it's honest work, and I couldn't use images, so I drew everything in ASCII, and the whole thing runs on the computer console and constantly flickers because the screen has to update. To say the least, I had a lot of limitations. It's like going to art school to draw in watercolor on a canvas, but you're forced to draw in pencil on a piece of paper. I was unhappy and unsatisfied despite my good grades, and sure, I was proud, but it wasn't what I wanted. Fast forward a few years to this one, August 9th, and I set out to recreate this game in my style and how I wanted to make it. I get to draw my art, learn a game engine, and do things my way. Since then, I've been streaming my process of making it and learning Godot. Now that the main mechanic of my game is done, I can start making devlogs about it. So consider this video an appetizer for what's to come. It's setting the stage for my goal of making a commercial game and putting it on Steam. Do I recommend game dev college at all? I'll be honest, no. At least if you're planning to be an indie developer. The knowledge I gained there could easily be found on YouTube or Reddit. You could even pay for a miniature dev course like GD Quest and get more value than stressing over school and deadlines. And so, with that, I'll leave you with some clips from previous streams about the conception of Necrotype Cafe, Console Cafe Simulator, soon-to-be successor. And if you'd like to play Console Cafe Simulator for yourself, I'll leave the link down below to my itch. And thus, I take my leave. Thank you for watching, and I hope you stick around to watch my journey. Speaking of, thank you to Colonel for becoming my first ever Patreon member. On there, I have the raw files from previous pixel artwork I've done from my 30-day series. Okay, now I'll get out of your hair. Welcome to Console Cafe Simulator. Cafe Simulator made by Eris Esra. To skip the tutorial, press J. Otherwise, press any other button to continue. Don't worry, you can always go through the tutorial again by pressing J at any time. So we'll go ahead and press the tutorial because you will need the tutorial. I needed the tutorial. The objective of the game is to serve as many customers as you can before the time runs out. This is your timer. What was it called? ASCII table, because it's printed to the console. This is all I had to work with. I couldn't work with images, items, not images, assets. This is as close to assets as I could get. And I mean, it kind of looks like, it kind of works. This timer is located at the top of the screen. These arrows point at the top, followed by the serving tables below it, which are these. The serving table has a total of 3 plates that you can add dishes to and serve customers. For these, a full plate consists of 3 dishes. and will be created in the kitchen. For now, this is the register area. And you have those, and then here it says a completed plate will look something like this. Plate 1 consists of food. So you have your plate numbers and your plates. And here is your food. Press key. Now you will see why I was worried about it showing up on screen properly. Excuse me. Okay, so I'll zoom out a little bit, but the more I zoom out, the harder it is to read. A customer will have a bar above them that represents their patience meter. Once empty, they'll leave the cafe, causing your online reviews to take a hit. A customer can also become angry if they are served the wrong plate, so beware and pay close attention. So you have to keep track, you have a timer at the top representing your day, and you have a timer above the customer representing their patience meter. And this is their order. And the customer is a little cute bunny. Those funny symbols represent various dishes that can be created. The recipe book will always be displayed at the top of the screen no matter where you are. And here is your recipe book. The recipe book's just your inputs, so to speak, where you have your food inputs. Well, not food inputs. These are just names they came up with. You could always change them. And here are their symbols. So for example, up carrot JU stands for carrot smoothie, bacon, and a muffin. That would be this rabbit's order. Dishes are created via the recipes and use of machinery that you'll find in the back. These two have timers, so plan accordingly on what dishes you want to prepare and when. For example, this is a mixer. You'll find other machines once you swap over to the kitchen by pressing Q. At the bottom of the screen in the kitchen is a mixing bowl that will look a little something like this. You can add onto this bowl, and once filled with 3 ingredients, a dish will try to be created. This will fail if the recipe is incorrect, / the required machine is currently in use. Completed dishes will appear in the Save Dish section, and from there, you can add it onto a plate. Note, you can delete plates by pressing a different key. This is it for the tutorial. That's all there is. We're on our own now. This is, as I said, your order screen. I can click here. Oop, let me go back up here. That was one thing with consoles. It is not the prettiest thing. You can see it's flickering. That is the game constantly, every second, or game second or frame, printing and updating the screen. And if I press Q, this is where I was worried about the game system not showing up. Because this is a very long screen. Super long, super printy, super flickery, super glitchy. But everything's working. It looks off, but it's not. This is exactly how it's supposed to work. Here's the screen. It's super tiny, unfortunately. But this allows us to be able to go back and forth with Q. So we can see the top of the screen is the day. It stays the same. You have your menus, your controls that changed, which I was hoping by keeping the controls in the recipe book up there, you could see what you're working with. You have your served customers, your angry customers, and your orders. And so far, we're losing. I've been talking for this short amount of time and we're already losing. Here is your kitchen. This was the other screen I was talking about. In the kitchen, you have 3 machines, you have dishes at the top, and you can make your recipes. And most likely, this is just not gonna work out. Actually, we'll see if we can make this order quickly. So to do that, it's up carrot JJ, which is carrot smoothie, bacon. We go back, oops. There we go. We go back to our other screen, which is our kitchen. And for up carrot is hashtag. So what you have to do is do E, hashtag E, and you can see too, because I'm inputting something, screen stops flickering because it can't print when I'm adding an input. So it's E, hashtag E, hashtag E, hashtag. Once I do that, the mixer bar starts going. Let's do E, hashtag, E, hashtag, E, hashtag. That takes care of our other thing. Now bacon is equal squiggly or tilde. Equals tilde. So it's equal E tilde. And now we have our pan. Let's swap back over. We might not make it in time. That person might just have to leave. And yeah, no, our pan up here, you can see the timers going down. And yep, they're gone. This person's almost also gone, which means, oop, game's over. I lost, which is why I created an easy version. What happens in our loop? That's the best way to explain it. What does a player do during the game? What are they doing? What actions do they take? That is basically the game loop. What happens in a single gameplay. Player goes to kitchen, makes order. Then player goes to register and serves customer. Again, customer orders, player makes the order, player serves. That's as simple as it gets. Step 1, step 2, step 3. What are the mechanics? What's the minimum viable product to make this? For this, I need a kitchen screen, and a register. In our kitchen, we have our customers. No, our register. Register has customers. And our customers have an order, and they also have a timer. For this game, you also need an overall game. And I guess, I mean, that in a way, that is the timekeeper. You have the day. It's the general day, which keeps track of time. And in the kitchen, you have your recipes, and you have your machines. You also need a way to... You need a, what's it called? A counter. You need a counter, in my case I called it a bowl, to arrange your food, to put it in the machines. And on here, you need plates to hold the food in. So now with all of this said, we've got our inspiration, we've got the game I had. I want to try making something new. Because as it stands, I mean, I like the game. I like it for what it was. I like it for what it could be. And now I want to try remaking the game with graphics. So, tagline or hook is a game where you serve customers by typing. It was made with ASCII, and you type buttons used. I think that could be fun. And I was thinking about this the other day, is maybe we could use the character from the previous Gabriella, where she wanted to make her own cafe. Maybe we could tie her into this to expand on it. That could be fun. Let me go ahead and grab her. She does want to be a chef. And right now, at least in as far as I've seen, most cafe games are cutesy and cats and pink. And I thought about doing that, but I think maybe what we could do is make it more gothic and spooky, where maybe she rented out, her dream of becoming a baker is coming true. Yeah, maybe the idea for the game is she comes across an abandoned mansion or something, or abandoned cafe, and her goal is to, this is her story maybe, her goal is to renovate it. And so during the game, the more customers you serve, the more renovations you can make, until at the end of the game, she has made her dream cafe. Like, that could be interesting. The typing aspect, I think, could come into play where maybe she's serving people, but people are afraid of ghosts. So maybe there's this sort of, I really should be writing this. The haunted house, haunted building that you would be able to upgrade with money. You can upgrade with money. I was also thinking, because even in other games like Cook Serve Delicious, you have to do things like clean. I mean, even in the Penguin game, you had tips. We could bring in the ghost aspect maybe to make it more spooky. Maybe what you have to do is manage serving customers while also ghost busting your own building. So you have to keep the ghost down in a manageable rate where customers can't notice the ghost. Maybe some upgrades could be getting candles put out for ghosts to keep them away at bay for a little bit, but you have to upgrade the candles and the time. The important thing is we keep in mind scope. I want this to be a bigger game than the one I made. I don't want it to be more of a mini game, one like I've made in the past. I want it to be a little bit more bigger. Not too big, a little bit bigger. An idea that I was thinking was, because I want to keep the typing aspect in mind. This sounds like fun. And what's more typey than spells? Maybe she has to banish the ghost in a way of having to type on screen really fast for banishing the ghost. Maybe that's like a mini game where you have to follow a spell or something to banish the ghost. Maybe that can be in line where you have to type to make food, type to banish ghosts, that sort of thing.